"You're the best I've ever had." When Jasmine tells Matt this in 90 Day Fiance, it's more than a throwaway line. It's a confession, fraught, raw, full of promise and danger. A signpost in a relationship crossing ever-shifting terrain. Let's peel back the layers. The context, what's really being said first. Context matters. Jasmine is in a marriage with Gino that's been strained by severe intimacy issues, months without sex, mounting emotional distance, repeated fights, unmet needs. She meets Matt at the gym. He becomes something more than a casual acquaintance. She confides in him, leans on him emotionally. They share time and attention in ways she doesn't get with Gino. Into that vacuum, the compliment arises. Saying someone is the best I've ever had is a way of relaying unsatisfied desires. It is also, underlyingly, a measure taken against the past, what Jasmine has experienced or lost, what she feels she deserves, what she hopes for. Layers of meaning when someone says, "You're the best I've ever had." Multiple things can be going on. A physical satisfaction, the most obvious meaning. There's a physical chemistry, perhaps a contrast with what she's had before. Better movements, better connection, better fulfillment, emotional safety. Often, best sex isn't just about mechanics, it's about feeling seen, cared for, relaxed, free from shame or insecurity. Jasmine's history suggests she's been starved for connection. For someone who listens, that amplifies whatever intimacy she experiences with Matt. Validation affirmation. Saying this allows Jasmine to reclaim some power, to reaffirm that her needs matter, to push back against feelings of neglect, perhaps even to soothe wounds of rejection from Gino. Risk consequence. It also means there's judgment being cast and expectations being set. If this is the best, then everything else becomes, by comparison, lacking. It can deepen her dissatisfaction with Gino. It also raises stakes in her relationship with Matt. Can he sustain that best label? What it tells us about Jasmine, in giving this compliment, reveals more than she admits elsewhere. 1. Desire for authenticity. She wants realness in intimacy, not just performance or duty, but actual pleasure, connection. 2. Strength. Vulnerability. It takes courage to say such things. She's letting down defenses, exposing longing, acknowledging that her marriage has failed to meet her in this way. 3. High expectations. She isn't settling. She seems to believe she deserves better than what she's had, that she should feel not just loved, but cherished, desired, satisfied. 4. Conflict. Confusion. There is also chaos. Jasmine's feelings are tangled with guilt, with loyalty, with fear of loss. This compliment stirs things up, emotionally, relationally. It intensifies what's already broken between her and Gino. Implications for Matt. Being told you're the best someone's ever had, especially in such a public, charged scenario, puts pressure. Matt becomes a contrast. He's being compared to Gino. He becomes part of the equation, part of the wedge, but he's also idealized. To Jasmine, in that moment, he may represent more than sex, safety, validation, desire, expectations. Can he keep up? Will those moments repeat? Will intimacy last once the novelty fades? Implications for Gino. Their marriage. Jasmine's compliment is also a mirror held up to her marriage with Gino. It underscores how far Gino has drifted in meeting her needs. The neglect, real or perceived, isn't just about lack of sex, it's lack of being chosen, being desired. It raises the question of incompatibility, not just in schedule or communication, but physically, emotionally. At the core of intimacy, it introduces jealousy, competition, guilt. If Jasmine finds someone else fills the gap, what does that do to Gino's self-esteem, identity, their marriage? The emotional weight of best is a dangerous word. It's superlative. It suggests pasts that were subpar, presents that are unsatisfying, futures that might never compare. And it begs a question: what do we do after best? Because there's no more than best, only something that might match or even surpass it in a different way. For Jasmine, saying this to Matt is partial truth, perhaps shaped by desperation, desire, embittered hope. The emotional ledger she keeps is heavy. She wants more than just good sex, she wants rescue, acknowledgement, healing. The complexity of intimacy expectations. This moment spotlights how intimate relationships accumulate unspoken debts, emotional lapses, unmet desires, regrets. When someone voices that they've found something deeper or more satisfying, it punctures the illusions or stories we tell ourselves about loyalty, sufficiency. It demands re-evaluation. Also, one person's best may be another's just enough. It depends less on technique and more on context, the gap between what you've experienced and what you want, the safety you feel, the acceptance you believe you deserve. A second look, not just the compliment. But what follows looking back after that compliment? Does it bring Jasmine what she needs? Does it satisfy the thirst? Or does it deepen her longing? Make every moment with Gino feel inadequate in comparison? Does it change Matt? Does Matt feel validated? Overwhelmed? Does he distance if he is seen as the one who can give what Gino couldn't? Does it shift Jasmine's own self-view? Does she now believe she deserves better? Less shame? More courage? Or does guilt or anxiety shadow the pleasure? Is the compliment a turning point? Or a symptom? That is it something that helps Jasmine move forward either toward healing, toward asserting her needs, or toward leaving what no longer works? Or is it just another moment in a cycle of disappointment? Beauty, risk, honesty, consequence. Jasmine's words carry beauty. They represent truth, no matter how imperfect. It takes guts to mark what feels good, to admit when someone shows you what you've been missing. That kind of honesty, even in messy relational situations, is rare, but risk is baked in. Truth can heal or it can wound. It can lift up confidence, or sow seeds of regret. For Gino, it stings. For Matt, it might become burden. For Jasmine, it could become something she clings to, and maybe something she eventually resents. What it all suggests about desire. Relationship, self-worth. Desire isn't optional, even in marriage. Even when commitments are made, desire and connection matter. Intimacy can't be faked over time without cost. Self-worth matters. Jasmine's willingness to voice what she wants and feels even at cost is about claiming that her worth is not silence or acceptance of less. Relationships are negotiations of truth. To love someone is to share your vulnerabilities, the disappointments, the unmet hopes. Compliments like this are part of that negotiation. They expose the gaps, but also the possibilities. Portrait of a moment. Imagine the scene: Jasmine half ashamed, half loath to let go, looking at Matt across a room, or in a private moment. The lights are dim, tension and longing mix. She inhales, measuring what she's about to say. Then, "You're the best I've ever had." Hear the tremor, the relief, the danger in her voice. Feel what her heart has carried: loneliness, hurt, manna of unfulfilled hunger. And know, that line marks one of many forks in her journey. Final thoughts. Jasmine's compliment to Matt is not just about sex. It's about truth. It's about what happens when someone recognizes their own worth enough to say out loud what feels good, what has been missing. It's about the turning points that often come disguised as small confessions. In that one sentence, "You're the best I've ever had," there's a universe of love, of longing, of the brave act of wanting more. And in the fallout, there's a chance for growth, for Jasmine, for Matt, for Gino, and for all of us who watch and wonder what we would do if we found our best in someone unexpected. If you like, I can reframe this as a more dramatic monologue from Jasmine's perspective, or maybe a poem. Which style would you prefer?